In the summer of 1980, the world was about to witness a cinematic phenomenon. A small town nestled in the woods, an abandoned summer camp, and a date etched in superstition. Friday the 13th. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the horror genre was undergoing a transformation. Audiences were accustomed to classic monsters and supernatural elements, but in the wake of successes like Halloween, a new wave of filmmakers were experimenting with new ways to elicit fear. It was in this evolving landscape that Friday the 13th emerged as a pioneer, taking the horror genre from the realms of Gothic cathedrals to the seemingly tranquil setting of a summer camp. The film drew inspiration not from classic literature, but from the campfire tales that had been whispered under the glow of the summer moon, passed around, changed, and distorted with each retelling. These were stories meant to chill the bones of restless campers, tales of vengeful spirits, mysterious disappearances, and bloody tragedies tied to the woods surrounding them. Sean S. Cunningham, who produced the controversial film The Last House on the Left in 1972, was struggling to make ends meet as the 1980s approached. In the foreword of Crystal Lake Memories, The Complete History of Friday the 13th, he explained the following. I needed to come up with a new idea that I could sell, so why not make a scary movie? I had not revisited the horror genre since Last House on the Left, but I had this movie title banging around in the back of my head that I thought would be terrific. Friday the 13th. I had no idea what the movie would be, but with that title I thought, at least I'd be off to a good start. Cunningham raised the money to publish a full-page advertisement in Variety to announce the imminent production of Friday the 13th, the most terrifying film ever made. The advertisement intrigued people, leading to distribution inquiries and investment offers, even though at this point there was no script for the film. The cast was made up of relatively unknown actors, which, given the budget was in the region of about $500,000, was no surprise. However, it proved to be the launchpad for one actor who now has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. 4 years before garnering worldwide fame in Footloose, Kevin Bacon played the role of Jack, one of the counselors, in Friday the 13th. The special effects work on the film was done by Tom Savini, who had previously worked on Dawn of the Dead and managed to work wonders with a very stretched budget. Savini was a combat photographer in Vietnam and was therefore in a unique position for this kind of work. As he explained, sometimes people die with one eye open and one eye half closed. Sometimes people die with smiles on their faces as their jaw is always slack. That's the way it goes. So when I make fake heads and cadavers, I incorporate the feeling I got seeing the real stuff in Vietnam. Another important member of Cunningham's team was composer Harry Manfredini. Inspired by Jaws, he came up with the idea to give the killer their own signature. The words kill and mother were chopped in half and run through an echo reverb machine to create the refrain that accompanies the killer's appearance throughout most of the franchise. The plot is straightforward yet ominous. A group of unsuspecting camp counselors are systematically stalked and killed at Camp Crystal Lake by an unseen force. The film unfolds like a traditional ghost story told around a campfire, where the buildup of tension is just as important as the climactic scares. The film's use of a remote, wooded location reinforces this vibe. Camp Crystal Lake, isolated, eerie, and draped in fog, mirrors the dark forests and isolated cabins found in many campfire stories. The narrative plays on the fear of the unknown, which is a central tenet of such tales. The lake itself, with its murky depths and tragic past, symbolizes the lingering, unresolved trauma that fuels urban legends. The concept of the killer returning is a staple in such stories. The notion that something terrible once happened at the camp and that it could happen again keeps the story alive and menacing. The film's killer, revealed to be Mrs. Voorhees, epitomizes the twist ending of many Campfire stories. For much of the movie, the audience expects the killer to be some kind of monster, or for many who saw the sequels before watching the original, the rumored drowned child Jason. Yet, it's the vengeful mother, seeking retribution for the death of her son, who emerges as the unexpected threat. The storytelling is cynical, each retelling adding a new layer of fear, just as every summer, another group of counselors might meet the same fate. It was in the closing minutes of the movie that a franchise was launched. Both Miller and Savini admit to being inspired by Brian De Palma's 1976 film Carrie when they decided to give the ending a bit more oomph. As Alex is sitting there in this serene environment in a canoe on the lake, presumably safe after surviving her ordeal at the camp, Jason jumps out of the lake and tries to pull her under. We later see her safely in the hospital, relaying this to the police, who tell her they didn't find any boy. Friday the 13th didn't just tell a compelling horror story, it birthed a cultural phenomenon. Though it was released in the shadow of Halloween, the film quickly distinguished itself with its graphic kills, inventive cinematography, and the eerie sound that became synonymous with Jason Voorhees and the series as a whole. While Jason himself only appears as a child in this first film, his legacy as the franchise's primary antagonist soon began to take shape with subsequent sequels, solidifying him as one of horror's most recognizable figures. The film's influence on pop culture is immeasurable. It not only helped to popularize the slasher genre, but also set the standard for many of the tropes we now associate with it. The isolated setting, the group of doomed young adults, the killer with a motive tied to a tragic past, and the final girl, a heroine who survives the carnage only to confront the killer in the end. All of these tropes appear in this film. The enduring image of Jason Voorhees, particularly after Friday the 13th Part 3, when he first dons his iconic hockey mask, became a cultural touchstone. Even people who have never seen the films recognize Jason's mask. But what is it that keeps audiences coming back to Friday the 13th and its numerous sequels? Part of the answer lies in its simplicity. The film doesn't rely on complex plots or psychological horror. Instead, it offers viewers a visceral experience. There's also a nostalgic element to the film's lasting appeal. For many, Friday the 13th was their introduction to horror and serves as a rite of passage for those discovering the genre. The franchise's longevity and commitment to pushing boundaries have kept fans invested. The over-the-top kills, creative camera work, and dark sense of humor have allowed the series to reinvent itself time and again. While many horror franchises fade into obscurity, Friday the 13th manages to stay relevant by embracing its campy roots and continuing to deliver exactly what audiences expect from it. Fan tributes, elaborate cosplays, and dedicated conventions stand as testaments to the film's enduring popularity. Decades after its release, Friday the 13th continues to remain culturally relevant. It's a film that not only terrified, but left an indelible mark on the collective imagination, ensuring its legacy as a cornerstone of horror culture. From its humble beginnings as an idea born out of desperation to its role in shaping the slasher genre, Friday the 13th remains a testament to the power of simplicity, creativity, and badass kills. Its chilling campfire tale roots, unforgettable score, and shocking twist ending captivated audiences and launched a franchise that has become synonymous with horror itself. Whether you're revisiting Camp Crystal Lake or discovering it for the first time, this film still packs a punch more than 4 decades later. For its groundbreaking contribution to horror, inventive kills, and enduring legacy, I'm giving Friday the 13th 4.5 out of 5 golden skulls. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, can you please hit the like button? You can also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be updated whenever I upload a new video. And until next time, keep on creeping on.